All right, new information shows that the Lions made two really smart moves in free agency, and this comes basically when you dive into some of the players that we recently signed. So we signed just recently Rock Ya-Sin. I don't know if you noticed that. I saw it, but it's like didn't really pay much attention to it. He's a defensive back. We'll get into that. But here it is information, new contract details out about 6 Lions free agent signings. And it really tells you a lot. And I think it's important to look at this. So Craig Reynolds, we signed. You're like, all right, man, it seems like we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sion Vaki. Like, what are we doing? I mean, what? Well, here's what we're doing. He gets a $75,000 workout bonus. Outside of that, he's got to make the team to earn the rest of it. So it's basically like, want you at camp, but you got to make the team. Same thing with Dan Skipper. Everyone loves him, but you wonder about Giovanni Manu. It's like, man, Manu is like who we really need. Love Skipper, love him. Well, same thing here. He's going to get $100,000 if he makes the team. That's when he actually gets some real money. So again, it just shows, Craig, Skipper, need you to make the team. And then versus look at Muhammad, who's got $750,000 guaranteed. There's a guy that's like gonna make the team. You go down here to Khalil Dorsey, 2-year, $33 million. The Lions signed about 30 players between futures deals, tenders, free agent re-signings, and only 2 received multi-year deals, Barnes and Khalil Dorsey. So Dorsey's going to make the team. Derek Barnes, they love Dorsey, by the way. I do too. But it's interesting to see that. Now, why I say this is a smart move is because you really open up the door for like, hey, if he's not good enough and doesn't fit the roster, it doesn't cost us to cut Reynolds and Dan Skipper. A couple fan favorites, but the point is the Lions are getting better in different areas. These are 2 of them right here, Sion Vaki and Giovanni Manu. Love that. Secondly, Rock Ya-Sin was brought in a little bit under the radar. Defensive back that is a veteran guy with the Colts, with the Niners, has a physical skill set, and is just a ton of starting experience. Here's a couple things about him, though. He's a zone guy, and he's sticky in coverage, but in a bad way. We all remember Terrion Arnold that in the first half of the season was like, man, he's all over him. Like, let's go. Problem is he was getting penalties. He's like too much on him. Couldn't control. That's kind of what Rock Ya-Sin is. However, man, you start looking at the defense now. Assuming everyone that was injured comes back healthy and like rock and roll, like Hutch, like Derek Barnes. Secondary is outstanding with Terrion Arnold really being the 1, 2, 1A, 1B. Like, he is so good. Terrion Arnold. Hopefully Enos Rakestraw comes back and he's good to go. And then you've got Amik Robertson. And then you got Rock Ya-Sin in there. Like, this secondary is so much improved from just a couple years ago. 2 all-pro safeties. Man, the secondary looks so much better. Defensively, or linebacker-wise, Rodriguez comes back healthy. Derek Barnes. So just kind of under the radar, the Lions have got the secondary all set. Linebacker's good. Defensive line, we'll get to that in just a second, should be good to go. So I love kind of how the Lions not only signed the right players, but did it in a very manageable way. It's perfect. So Rock Ya-Sin, we'll get to him a little bit more in just a second, but here is why. Everyone's saying, let's get defensive back or defensive ends. This is grading each position by its overall talent in the draft. So quarterback, we don't care about that. We don't need one. Running back, A+, we don't need one either, but the running back class is A+, and man, everyone's talking about Genty. So that's good for us because running backs will go higher, push some other players down to the Lions. Wide receiver, that's like something we need to look at just because Tim Patrick's, maybe this is his last year, maybe one more year, I don't know, but it'd be nice to have maybe another wide receiver. Tight end, we don't really need. Offensive tackle, maybe depth, future stuff we should look at. So B- is good. Interior offensive line, that's something we do need. And the overall talent's not super great. Gray Zabel just continues to be mocked to us. See how it's 29th. He's mocked to us constantly, I guess. Right? I don't know enough about him. I see the tape, looks good, but interior offensive line is something we absolutely will be drafting. Now here it is, right here, edge defender, A+. There are guys everywhere. It's headlined by Abdul Carter. Obviously, we won't get him, but then all of these guys are right in the 20s, late first round, right where we are going to be picking. So you could get one of them. You could get somebody else later in the draft. The good news is that quarterback's going to go, of course, the two quarterbacks, and then it's going to be pushed down to us, these defensive ends. So love it. Another one, and by the way, all teams need this, interior defensive line and defensive ends. So we're not the only ones, but it's still good to see. So that's another one that's really solid. And then the things that we don't need, we don't really need a linebacker. We don't need corner. I mean, we always, you can't go wrong with corner. Safety we don't need. You can see how they're C, C, D. So that's good. It's good for the Lions. Okay, another thing that's interesting is that day one, we're all focused on that first round mock draft. But if you go day two, and check this out, it shows the best day two player at each position. Quarterback, don't care. Running back, don't care. Wide receiver, don't. Tight end, we don't need a tight end, clearly, like a starting tight end, but you never know. I could see Brad Holmes getting a little weird with tight end. Interior offensive lineman. All right, day two, Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, perfect. So like we were saying, Gray Zabel doesn't go. Well, you can get Donovan Jackson from Ohio State in the second round. So this is why having a great GM is so important, because you'll pass on things in the first round knowing you can get them later on. And then the other one is edge. Here we go. Josiah Stewart. One of these defensive ends is going to hit. Don't know who it's going to be, but Stewart lacks the he's 6'1", 249, but it's like, man, the tape, the interviews, this is where having a great GM matters, and it can find, all right, does this work? Does this not work? So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, make sure you subscribe if you haven't. And again, you talk about Dan Skipper, you talk about Craig Reynolds, Khalil Dorsey, Avonte Maddox, Rock Ya-Sin. I forgot about Avonte Maddox. There's another one that's probably going to make the team too. They're just our secondary is so much better. Veteran guys that are ready to go. Let me go back to Avonte Maddox. Yeah. Another veteran salary benefit deal for the Lions, but there's no one major difference. Essentially, Maddox's entire contract is guaranteed. Look at the difference in NFL contracts. One guy up above, like Dan Skipper, is going to make $100,000 guaranteed. That's it. He doesn't know anything about that, anything else above that, where Avonte Maddox knows he's going to make basically $1.4 million. That's significantly different. Crazy. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll see all of you on the next one.